Welcome everyone to the tCD Digital Chats, episode 2. With me today is Roxana Radulescu, who is the founder of All Personal, a bespoke training, coaching, and consulting company. She's also a TEDx speaker and certified trainer, master coach, and gecologist, about which Roxana can tell you more. Welcome, Roxana. Tell
Yeah.
me something that I've missed from your bio.
No, you didn't miss it. Basically, that's it in a nutshell. I mean, what can I say? Thank you so much for,
Um,
first of all, thank you so much for inviting me. It's I think it's a great idea, and I think it's a discussion that we need to have more of. So well done on
awesome.
that, on coming up with this series. So yeah, I've been in the space of learning and development for the past 15 years. So my background is there. I love it. I used to work in international law firm, and I used to head the department of learning and development for the firm-wide department. So, and that meant a lot of working to design and develop the whole course curriculum,
Right.
especially regarding soft skills, and a lot of traveling back and forth in different countries in Central and Eastern Europe and parts of Asia, going to London, UK to work with some teams there. So really a lot of multicultural work for
Hmm.
me. And so when I started my own business, and that was back in 2017 in December, I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted it to be. And because learning is a personal journey, and
Yeah.
because it's all either intrapersonal, so how we manage ourselves, or
Right.
interpersonal, how we manage our
Manage
relationships
others.
with others,
Interesting.
that's why I called it all personal, from different kinds of perspectives. And some people told me, yeah, that's a bold name to give to a business. But I think it, at the end of the day, it really is all personal, and it's what we make of what we have that
Right.
gives us the results. So this is what I do now. I work with corporates and startups and nonprofits, and I help them build game-changing teams, either by consulting them to be able to bring the right people on board, to develop them, to build strategies, and to really tap into what the individuals and the teams can do, and the business impacts that they have. So that's, for me, that's the most important bit, where we form teams that are long lasting, that work well together.
Right.
So that's what I also teach at York and at College Boreal. I am the I also teach workplace culture and communication.
Okay. Very nice. And so, something that you mentioned about keeping the business name as all personal and how bold it is, but we have to remember that we are all humans, even in the professional workplaces, and that's why it has to be
Yeah,
all personal, and those personal skills are important. And
yeah,
that's how, like, you and me met. Like, basically, I sought for seek for your services when I was in a difficult time, basically, when I needed to get on those personal skills in the professional setting, and that's when I basically, yeah, needed your services as well. So that's how
yeah.
Roxana and I
And
met.
that's and it's great to see you here in this capacity as an entrepreneur
Yeah.
today. I think there was a fire there that you also discovered along the way that was already in. So I think, and that is the beauty of this all personal journey
Yeah.
um, of development, because I don't think any kind of professional development can come without personal
Personal
development, and a
skills. Yeah.
commitment to work on that. I mean, that is, you did it and you saw the results.
I'm here. um, so you mentioned about, like, your activities being so much distributed in multicultural aspects also, and you have been working with teams across across countries as well. So, and now being in this learning and development phase, how has your day-to-day activities shifted during this pandemic phase, everything going into the virtual mode? Yeah.
Well, it's a great question that you're asking now, because I find that even though I was working virtually before, and I've also worked with companies, with organizations that used to work virtually. So one of my clients was a fully virtual team, and they were working remotely. All of the team members were working remotely before the pandemic even started. But it's not that it hasn't changed. So even for people who were used to working online and virtually, the whole shift meant that there was this whole change in the way they worked as well, because obviously they worked with other people, with their clients,
Right.
who probably weren't used to working that much virtually before. So we all have to adapt to this mode of working, whether or not we were working virtually before. Something changed. So for me, what I saw was definitely the training programs that I was delivering in face-to-face environments
Right.
now had to be online.
Right.
And it's a whole new paradigm to take a training that, you know how it is. There might be a training that lasts, I don't know, a day or 2 days, right? So to take a training that lasts for 2 days and put it into the virtual environment, that means a lot of changes in the way that the training is built and designed so that people are engaged. For me, that also meant that some of the exercises that I used to do during the training sessions,
Right.
I had to adapt them for the online space, because some of them simply didn't work, right?
Absolutely,
And it was a whole, so for me that meant adapting the content to what can be done online so that people are still engaged and we still get that feeling of togetherness when we come and we participate in the training, and still feel that we're together, although we are each of us at home or behind their own screens, right? So that happens for the corporate trainings that I do, and also for the courses that I teach. Those were supposed to be in-person courses, and all of a sudden they now have to be delivered virtually. So it really meant a different kind of work. To be honest.
While you were like preparing these courses for this virtual setting, and while you were like even thinking through the different, like I'm sure there would have been change in the exercises also that you put forward and the way you put forward. And while you were preparing this, were the tools that you needed readily available, and how much like of a research you had to put in there?
Oh, I still miss some features. So no, I had to do the best with what I had, and I had that feeling that what I had wasn't enough, and I still would need some more features, like for instance, in Zoom, you do have the breakout rooms, and you can break people into rooms. It's just that it is very difficult from the perspective of the facilitator. It is difficult to work with people as they go into these rooms. So for instance, when I see people in 3-4 rooms, and I have to
jump between the rooms,
it really takes time to leave the meeting room and to join another one. And I also need to see if there is, because people get kicked off. because network, right? And then when they come back, I need to see that so I can reassign them to the breakout room that they were in. So I need to be in literally in several places at the same time, and I can't see. So it's like jumping back and forth. And for me as an instructor, that is something that is, it takes a lot of energy, and I can do it, but I don't feel like I can give the same amount of participation or feedback to the people who are on the course at that time.
Yeah, that's
really, that's what
big problem for individual teachers who are taking it forward with like groups of classes, and they need those small groups together.
I mean, we need more for the learning space. Definitely, we need something more than just, because Zoom at the end of the day is a meeting platform. It's good for brainstorming, for team meetings and stuff like that. For learning, you need a little bit more. You need some more features that actually enhance the learning experience without getting people tired just because they're trying to fix something that they can't actually fix, because it's just there. It's what's possible now. So or seeing people, if you're with a group of 18, 20 people, it is so difficult to see everybody, right? And have the slides on the screen and look at them. And it's again, we don't have the whole picture of who is there.
Who's there, yeah. Okay. And how has the acceptance been among your clients or among the attendees, or like even your like colleague teachers or other folks in the learning and development ecosystem?
Yeah. Well, I think, again, this is an all personal thing. So some of us are early adopters and we really like this. The change, or we go with the change earlier on, and some of us are more reluctant to change, and we wait and see what happens before we actually move along with it. So I've seen this in this space as well. There are people who are still not comfortable being on video, so they have their video off. And I still talk to people who are learning designers or teachers and who are not comfortable with this environment. And for some of them, for good reason, because some of the stuff that they teach cannot be taught in a virtual environment. And especially or it's more difficult because it's very palpable. It's very kinesthetic, so people work like with arts or with making things, or with even some of the science experiments, for instance, right? That is doing an experiment in class with, and just working on it with the team and with the teacher there is different than having it online. And so for some, and again, for some of the kinesthetic learners, for instance, the people who need to move, to think and to communicate and to understand and to communicate information and learn information, for them, having them sit down in a meeting for an hour or 2 or 3, that is torture, almost like torture, because you're asking them to just sit still. And it's for them, that's impossible. So what I found myself
do a walking meeting on Zoom.
That would be amazing. And I told them, look, you can't stand up, just walk around the room. You don't have to sit still. If you have to move, because otherwise you go crazy. And the only thing you can think about is just that, instead of focusing on what it is that you need to learn. So I've seen both, and I think we still have a long way to go. So until everybody can work in the virtual space, or feels that they can work in the virtual space as well as they can in the physical space. For others, they just thrive in online. They just thrive in virtual because they like it. First of all, they feel safer, because when I'm in my
Yeah.
space at home, I feel safer.
Exactly.
And it's just the way that they are used to communicate. It's especially for the younger generation, is not something, oh my God, it's just virtual and what
Yeah.
do I do now? For them,
You're already
it's
used
just
to
second
that.
nature. Yeah, yeah. So of course we will communicate like this.
Wow, very interesting. Um, hmm. So take me through some of like the new, maybe new tools other than just the virtual, say Zoom chats and stuff that you have explored during, uh, maybe during building courses, or and how has, so you have been working with universities also, York University and stuff. Have they adapted readily to this shift, and are they
Mm.
like providing you with um, tool solutions or something?
I think everybody's trying right now to
Yeah.
find the best solution, right?
Right.
And we don't have it yet. We haven't found it yet. It's not, it's a new learning paradigm, because we've done blended learning before. We've done online learning before. We've done distance learning before. The but the majority of learning was still done face to face. That was the biggest chunk of it. And yes, we did have early adopters of, okay, let's use e-learning, let's use online platforms, and have our employees trained this way. So for the corporate world, they might have been more ready to get
Right.
into this kind of virtual, because they already had it, and they used to have already learning platforms that actually also, because learning happens formally and informally. So that is the part that I miss, the informal that you get when you communicate face to face, and
Makes sense.
the connection between people when they are in a group together, and they also share information. Because it's not the difference between adult learning and children learning, is that adults, they want to communicate, they want to share from their experience, from what they know, right? Because they have this experience and they're ready to share it, and they're ready to link the theory with the practice and with their experience. So you get a lot of discussions during a training session or in a coaching session. It's the same thing. Now in a training session, because it's a group thing, you need those conversations. You need that spark of sharing and caring, which in online we don't have the tools to do it properly. Yes, you can have a discussion, but what are the tools to make sure that people stay engaged after the session, that they can actually communicate in groups? Like if I think about the way that massive online open courses were done, that is probably the best model that we can have right now for what is happening in the learning space. Because you need the formal lesson, you need the video, you need the scripts, you need everything, but you also need to give possibility for people to discuss, to exchange ideas, to ask questions. You need the groups that are asynchronous, right? So we have the live discussions that are synchronous learning, and then you need some kind of asynchronous learning and communicating platform to keep the learning going, because learning doesn't stop when the lesson stopped. That's when learning starts. That's when the real learning starts, because you get to practice it.
So many platforms like Coursera, Udemy, they all have these group chat forums. After the course, you can put in your questions, discuss through it.
And
so
I
feel
think
like
this is a good model to follow. So we still need to, but it's not happening. It's happening. It started to happen, but it's slow. And also people are not used to that. So
Right.
you might have a platform, for instance, in both York and College Boreal, they do have their own platforms, but people are not used to
Used
using,
to
to
that kind
working
of
in the
interaction. Yeah.
platform. Yeah.
Mhm. Interesting. Yeah. I am just on my journey of learning a new platform called Glidex. So it's a no code app development platform. And something that I've seen over there, it's like very much community driven. And you post your questions around how to build the apps. They have a separate uh, forum where like the whole community can post questions, showcase their apps, and yeah, just put feature requests and stuff. So that's really a good thing for any, I would say, yeah, because it's a product company basically. It's a uh, good initiative by them to like get the request of more features from the community itself that's developing. And I think that thing can also be transformed into how the education systems are working right now. Like, yes, there are many chat tools now, like Slack or something. If it's embedded, people can ask questions over there itself because
Yeah.
it's a tool that's freely available. Why not use it, right? So yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
yeah, that adoption shift, that thing is still
That adoption,
in the
and
works.
also because you mentioned, because it's embedded. So if I have to go for the same experience, for a course, for instance, for the same learning experience, I have to go to the platform, and then I have my meetings on Zoom, and I have my communication on WhatsApp or Slack or whatever it is.
Hmm.
I have three different places where that I need to check. On top of that,
Right.
if I need to check my emails, I have my text messages, I have all of the other social media platforms. So that is a lot to take
A
in.
lot. Yeah.
And that's why we become so tired and literally zoomed out because
Yeah.
because of that, because we need to be to move from one environment to the next. And what happens is we lose focus, and that's why we feel that we're less productive.
Hmm.
Some of us, not all of us, but some of us, or at some point, maybe not every day, but there are days when we might feel less productive because of that, because our focus goes in there instead of going into the work that we need to put in. So
Right.
I'm just checking, and I'm waiting to see, and I'm getting my um, adrenaline and my dopamine from everything that comes to me, all of those messages that engage me. And at the end of the
Yeah.
day, I feel tired without necessarily, and then I think, what have I done today? Not much.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the social space that has, how the social space has transformed is like, yeah, we
Yeah.
are more and more involved now in the social space, but also that's affecting us in terms of our time consumption, in terms of that affecting the productivity. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Hmm. So, okay, so moving on to basically after the pandemic phase, what are what are some of the things that you like about this virtual space that you're in right now? Like, I'm sure there are many differences. Yes, there are many cons for sure, because you're not getting that human one-on-one interaction, being in that same physical space. What are some of the things that you really admire about the space that you would want to take into, say, next year, mid next year? Hopefully we
Yeah.
get the vaccines by then.
Well, I think there are so many. I love so many things, and I think they're here to stay as well. I don't think we're gonna ditch them, by the way, once we have
Mhm.
the vaccine in place. We're gonna use it, because by then we've already formed a habit. So,
Yeah.
and we will be more, when I'm thinking, do I really need to have this meeting face to face, or can we have it virtually?
Hmm.
Or um, if we're gonna have a training with the whole team, um, do we really want to have the whole training face to face, or can we do a blended thing where we also learn online, and it's a more continuous kind of learning. And then we just, when we meet to discuss, and really it's sort of like the flip the classroom in this environment, right? When we meet face to face, we make the best time out of that and the most productive, and we make it even more efficient because we communicate offline or virtually in between. So that, for me, that is a great thing that's happening now, that I think we're going to be able to keep. Another thing is the fact that, hey, we don't waste time commuting, or that there are events or things that we can do that are more available to us simply because now we can attend. Right. We can register, we can do whatever that event is in the world, wherever it is, we just register and attend. So suddenly I think that the whole network expanded even more. I like the fact that people wave, and people are more relaxed in this kind of conversations. That we come up with even emojis, right? With this emoji or the clap emojis. We reinvented, or we came up with a new kind of language to communicate, because we miss we do miss the hugs. We do miss the in-person body language, right? Where I can see the whole of you, because it's different, right? If I can only see you from here up, it's different than actually seeing the whole of you when we meet face to face. So we came up with stuff to compensate some of that stuff, so that we feel more familiar with each other, because now we can't shake hands. Right. Not in the physical nor in the virtual environment. So we came up with the elbow shake or the feet shake. And in the virtual space, it's the wave. I love the wave. This is something that didn't happen before when you were meeting with somebody on Zoom, and it doesn't matter how formal the meeting is. People still wave either at the beginning of the meeting or by the end of the meeting. For sure they will. So I love the flexibility that we've adopted and that we learned to live with. I think we weren't as flexible as we are now ever. This is, I think, the top, and this comes with because of creativity, because creativity was all over the place, because we needed to find new solutions, and new solutions can only be found when you're creative and when you think, okay, what can I do now? What haven't I tried? I tried this, it didn't work. A lot of trial and error there, which we stopped calling failure. Again, failure is like the end of the road. I tried, it didn't work, and I stopped. For us right now, what happened is a lot of trial and error. We tried this, it didn't work. Okay, we'll try the next thing. Experimenting. And that's how we learn. If you think about it, that's the human nature. We learn by trial and error since we're babies. And we've rediscovered that power. So that comes with a lot of creativity, with a lot of flexibility in accepting other people's ideas, in discussing change, in discussing creative ideas, and implementing some of them, even though you don't know the end result. You don't know how the end result is going to be. So taking that step, and also with that kind of step-by-step approach, which has worked for a lot of the people that I work with. I hear them doing this and being that open and that flexible in their approach when they discuss with their team or with their leaders or with for their entire organization. And I think this is incredible, because really we don't know what's coming next. So we need to be able to have to flex right? We need some flexibility in there so
A
that we
new
can
muscle there.
adapt.
Yeah.
That's a new, exactly. And I think one of the number one thing that I liked about what happened with the whole virtual and working from home is the trust that we've built, that we had to build. It was just, that was like a boost of trust almost overnight, because before the whole pandemic, people didn't, I mean, organizations, some of them didn't allow for this kind of work from home, or were a little bit reluctant to have this kind of flexibility because of many reasons. But one of them was that they didn't trust that their people would be working from home as well as they would work in an office, right? So that was something that some of the organizations adopted earlier, and it was something that they were offering as a benefit, and people were looking for that. But I think when we talk about work-home balance, I don't like to call it work-life balance, because life happens both at work and at home. It's not, we're not dead at work. We're still alive. That's a big part of our life. So it's work-home balance. And I think a big part of that is the flexibility in allowing for work to happen from home or from wherever, because it's not just work from home, work from anywhere, right? It, as long as I get, for, of course, for those jobs that allow for remote work, because some of them simply cannot be done from a distance. But we need, again, organizations entirely, they needed to be more flexible in their approach on that. And they started to see that actually what happens is that people work more and probably better from home. And production didn't stop. For some of them, they even went even further.
Productivity increased.
And productivity, and also planning and strategizing and seeing, you know, moving past what was already planned for, because now it's a different environment. So I think that trust that was built is also here to stay. So these are the things that I'm taking, that we will embed them talking about to draw a parallel with technology, right? We will embed these features as we go into returning to the office and having our teams working together face to face again. But if I am going to say, hey, I need to work from home today or this week, or this will be accepted as normal. Whereas before, it would have been seen as I would need an approval, I would need a real reason, not that I just feel I can do this kind of work better from home. No, I would need to be sick, or I don't know, to actually have a doctor appointment that I can't miss to be able to do that. So I think we're gonna have these features here to stay.
These are some really great points. Like humans at their core are basically social animals, and also we are very creative animals. So that those two things come together, and yes, we have to be social, and we are very much dependable on each other. So that trust had to take a new form, and we had to work with the parameters that we have. And that's why, like, human beings have evolved over centuries, and this is like another phase that we are evolving over and augmenting with technology basically over here now.
Yeah, for sure. And I can't wait to see where this takes us, but definitely we will be able to do something with it. Like it's impossible not to, because you know what they say, it takes 21 days to create a new habit. It's been way longer.
4 months.
21 days.
Yeah.
So by now we've created some new habits, and we are also creatures of habit, right? So we will want, and that was one of the struggles when we went into pandemic mode and lockdown mode, some of our habits that we used to have before, we couldn't do them anymore because it was physically impossible.
Right.
Even people were missing their commute, they were missing their gym, they were missing going to the office and talking to people. We were missing a lot of the habits that we used to have, and we created new ones instead. So what we're going to see now is going to be a blend of all the new habits and we're going to take what works in the new environment, in this new normal that we talk about, which is not normal yet because we're still scripting it. It's not created, we're creating it as we go.
Evolved, yeah.
It's not, but it's coming, and I think we're gonna take the best out of both pre-COVID and post-COVID worlds and make the best with that.
Interesting. And one of the things you mentioned about like even the fitness, people are missing those gyms. Like, yes, one industry has suffered a lot, but then the fitness industry in general, and like individuals coming up with different their fitness routines, sharing it on social, and then also like educating others on that. So that's really interesting to see how that has also evolved. Like every industry it has impacted in some or the other way. And people who have evolved, who have taken on this journey, are moving forward with it. So
it's true. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and I said, I was thinking, we're actually, most of us working in the people business, regardless of the industry that we work in. So it can be fitness, it can be health, it can be, but now it's because we have this more personal approach. We've shared a lot of the personal space. We're sharing it right now.
Right.
Your space and my space. We're sharing it with everybody who watches this. So we've shared a lot of our personal space while working. Fitness businesses, they shared a lot of personal when the fitness instructors were teaching from home or creating videos from home. So that was a lot of industries transformed into service industries, and in actually serving people and helping them connect and helping them stay sane through this period of time. And I think it's gonna be, that is also here to stay, where you take care of people and of each person individually at the same time. They need this kind of tailoring because we need to learn, we need to connect, we need to create relationships. So there's different needs from different people, and the more you cover, the more needs you cover, the better it is. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in.
Absolutely. Wow, very well said. Okay, so that brings us towards the end of this chat. And thank you very much again for taking out the time.
Yeah, you too. Thank you for inviting me. It was great talking to you about it. I mean,
yes,
I'm sure we could talk about it all day.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful. Like even pieces of wisdom that you shared. It was absolutely wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abby. And see you soon, hopefully in person.
Yes, hopefully in person. Thank you very much for spending your time on this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and share. If you want to stay updated about digital journeys of more entrepreneurs and creators, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you.